All rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to go out of order here. Deputy Mayor Gibson, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Carumba. Here. Councilwoman Carr.
Here.
Mayor Simmons.
Here.
Councilman Gibson.
Here.
Councilman Forbes.
Here. Well, good morning. We unfortunately had to call a special meeting this morning. We have a coronavirus and some other things to discuss today. Arlene, would you like to kick us off, please?
Sure. Good morning, Mayor and Council. We wanted to provide this opportunity as an update on the city's operations during this conditions. The safety and health of our employees and citizens are our first consideration in the planning for our continued operations. City staff is meeting regularly with this Emergency Operations Center, with the Lee County Sheriff's Office, Bonita Springs Fire, regularly and aligning our efforts across jurisdictions. Lee County held a special meeting with all municipalities yesterday evening as well. Lee County has not declared any state of local emergency at this time. The Lee County Emergency Operations Center is not activated at this time, but we're continuing communications and they're monitoring the situation. The city is offering all city council meetings to be reviewed online and on TV, and the ability to send in public comments for their record. We've set up a special email address for that as well. Public comments can be emailed to citymeetings@citybonitsprings.org, or always our city clerk as well, and can be added to the record of your meetings. We'll continue live streaming all of our meetings as well. The city has focused its efforts externally and internally to ensure continued safety in all of our operations. We're working closely, as I said, with the Bonita Springs Fire Control and Rescue District and Lee County Sheriff's Office, and each of their organizations have created their contingency plans to continue public safety is maintained in all levels. We're continuing our active level of regular employment as of now. We'll consider, as other cities have done, shift work as this is looked at and progressed in the future. Health and safety information is continually posted on all of our media web outlets and websites. We have hand sanitizer in all facilities now. City staff has an instruction guide on the daily cleaning operations and a city log of all public facilities as well. We've been instructed to, as staff, to disinfect any of our common areas, surfaces, doorknobs, counters, refrigerators, handles, microwaves, water fountains, vending machines, etc. Employee work-related travel is on a limited essential basis and will be reviewed by the direct supervisor, and anything that is not essential will be canceled or postponed at this time. Sick employees, board members, citizens are asked to please remain home and not travel to our city facilities. Please contact us by phone or email, and we're happy to assist you as best we can virtually. Essential personnel and tools and supports needed to perform our duties are all being identified, and we are following our emergency operations protocol in this. When possible, city is being asked to conduct meetings via phone with other agencies and groups and technologies that we can offer that opportunity instead of an in-person meeting so we can reduce travel. We are reviewing human resources and payroll policies, including sick leave at this time as well. The city has contacted all of our event organizers, both public and private events, and encouraged postponement of these events where possible. We understand that these are difficult decisions, and in order to assist with that burden, the city will be offering refunds for any fees of any canceled events. If the events are postponed, I would respectfully ask City Council to authorize staff to work on new dates as long as the composition of the event is not changed. We have already had quite a few that are working with us as well, and at this point I'd like Laura Taylor to come forward, Director of Communications, to provide some additional information on where we are with special events.
Thank you, Arlene. Hi, Laura. Good morning.
Hi. Laura Taylor, Director of Communications. So to start, as Arlene said, the city has encouraged our community to access our online broadcast of our council meetings moving forward. I just wanted to mention some of the channels for our cable channels. We have Comcast, which is channel 98, Summit Broadband, which is channel 96, Hotwire, which is channel 398, and CenturyLink, which is 87. Those can also be streamed live. We have resources on our city website that we've been posting, updates from the Department of Health. Those also are shot out to the city app for information. And in regards to the events, the city staff has been reaching out to all event organizers that have permits for March and April. So far, we currently have 7 organizers with permits in March and 2 in April. The city has 2 special events scheduled for March and 2 in April. Out of that number, to date, we have 5 events that have decided to cancel. These events include Naples Big Band, Highland Woods, Bonita Springs Concert Band, Bonita Fest, and the Mayor's Cup. A lot of the organizers that we spoke with were already assessing the situation, and we're looking towards canceling, but not all. And the city has decided to postpone Celebrate Bonita and Movies in the Park.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Laura or Arlene? Okay, thank you, Laura. Arlene?
What we want to discuss today is you do have some remaining special events that the event organizers wish to continue hosting. We do have a recommendation by the governor's office which is consistent with the CDC, is that events that are over 1,000 in size are strongly encouraged to be postponed. The city council does have a portion of the special event permit that provides an opportunity for revoking those special events in cases of emergency. So we wanted to provide the opportunity for discussion for you all amongst this, for how you like to proceed with the remaining events where the folks wish to continue.
Right. Derek or Matt or anything to add? Because although public comment is not on here, I want to.
I would recommend that you open up to public comment.
Yes, absolutely.
What I will just add is that, this is sort of, we don't have a lot of essential services. We don't have our own fire. We don't have our own police force, although the essential services are here joining with us. But this is one of the few areas where the city does have a public interest and obligation to weigh in as a policy matter and decide about these things. There's obviously a lot of unknowns about the current health conditions, and that's part of what's driving this. And so, from a staff level, I think we are recommending that you go ahead and cancel those events. The risk of exponential exposure is just that much higher, and given our population demographics, it is an issue. We're not recommending anything below those levels at this time, although things could change in the future. Obviously, we have broad emergency powers, and this is going to upset a lot of people, but hopefully it's for the best, and we'll deal with what we have to when it comes.
Okay. So, thank you. Matt, do you have anything?
No, just it's a dynamic situation. In our meeting with the EOC, it's a pandemic, and we're trying to react appropriately.
Okay. Thank you. Council, anything at this time before I, yes?
Well, just to clarify, the recommendation is for events of 1,000 or more. Is that what?
That's what yes, that's what we're hearing from health officials.
From the health officials, and that's what the governor had recommended.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Laura, anything at this time, or?
I think we should just move open to public comment.
Okay.
Or should we make a motion and then open to public comment?
I'd go ahead and let the public.
I'm going to thank you, Laura. I'm going to allow public comment now at this time. Any members of the public that would like to speak, please come forward and join us at the podium. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I am Kevin Berry, founder and president of the Bonita Blues Festival and the Bonita Blues Charitable Foundation. And I understand there's issues coming up because no one really knows what is going on with this coronavirus stuff and how it can affect things. I personally would like to talk about the steps we have already taken. We are set to take temperatures of everybody's forehead, and if you're above 98.6, you don't come into the event. We have extra wash stations. We have all the antibacterial soap everywhere at the entrance and the food area by the bathrooms. We are willing to put up a sign basically saying, in a better detail than this, that entering here, we'll have them sign something, basically saying that no one is responsible should something happen with the coronavirus down the road. Also, to let you know, if for some reason we are canceled, we will be bankrupt. And we will never be able to do this again, and the personal liability will fall on my wife and me to pay all these things. I mean, just yesterday, we spent $25,000. We're completely set up at the park. If it is something along the lines of being able to have 1,000 people, we won't sell tickets at the gate. We will, with the number of sponsors, the number of paid tickets already, we're at approximately 1,000. And we'd be willing to obviously just go with that. Obviously, we would like to put the festival on. It's about 2,000 people, and we're outdoors. You know, people are bringing their own chairs. So we've asked you, we've sent stuff out. If you're bringing your own chair, disinfect it and everything. It's not an enclosed environment. You know, I can't speak enough to saying the devastation it will cause since we are completely set up. You know, and I understand it's late. You guys got to figure out what to do. I wouldn't want to be in any one of those chairs. And right now, I don't want to be in mine because this is going to devastate me, my family, everything will be done. And I don't want that to happen. So my opinion, obviously, is we've got everything on hold. Our sound crew is waiting. Everything's waiting to hear an answer. We had one band that was going to fly in from New Orleans. I called them last night and told them, don't come in. Just stay home. If we have to delay the start of the show today, we can do that and still accomplish what we need to do and be able to give all the money that we do. We're a not-for-profit organization. All the money we've ever made has been given away to charity. So, again, I can just plead with everybody on council that the devastation this will cause to our foundation and personally to my wife and I. So I hope we can, and you know, even Disney is doing their moratorium, but starting Monday. So it'll give people at least a little bit of time that are, like us, completely set up and ready to go to not be destroyed. So I respectfully hope we can work something out, and that's what I got.
Let me ask you, what would you recommend?
What would I, well, honestly, I would like the show to, like I said, and we are poised and ready with multiple digital thermometers to check every individual coming in. And as I said, if they register anything above 98.6, they're not allowed in. And I know there's a worry that, let's say we do the festival, even with 1,000 people, and a few weeks later, someone comes up with the coronavirus, and there's going to be an onslaught against the city because of this, possibly. I know personally, just listening to fans and friends from around the country and world, that if we get canceled, there's going to be a lot of bad press there too. And I just, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to, I don't want anything to go bad. I don't want anybody to get sick. But we're willing to even have them sign a waiver. I mean, they're all adults. And I'd really kind of like them to be able to make their decision. We've had people call us that have health issues and said, you know, I'm not coming. Don't worry about my ticket, but, you know, I'm not going to go out in this environment. And that's logical. And I think, in my opinion, we can leave this up to the adults coming here that have traveled in from Pennsylvania, California, all over, and have their hotel rooms, and you know, and it's going to devastate us. It's going to devastate all the vendors, you know, that are there. I have some friends in from Chicago. This will end up costing them at least $3,000 of their travel expense and time, and you know, and it's really going to hurt thousands of people and businesses just for this one event to be canceled.
So Derek, if we allow 999 people into the park this weekend, are there legal standards, or are we talking hypotheticals, or what are we talking about?
The issue here is really a policy issue. The big problem with this particular health crisis is we don't have enough information. It's not real. I'm not concerned about liability to the city for people who show up, or I'm not concerned about liability to the city in case we have to cancel the events. That's not what the concern is. The concern is not even the people necessarily who are attending. It's the people that may spread it as a result of attending. That's really the issue here. So limiting it to, you know, trying to narrow it down to saying 999 over 1,001, you know, I don't know. It may be possible that 1,000 people don't show irregardless. You're really, you know.
Yeah, Councilwoman. Laura and then Fred.
Okay. I feel for you. I feel for your family. I feel for everyone who's come for the Blues. I feel for Bonita Springs. but I'm really sorry. And I hope that everyone here will commit to helping you and others that, I know President Trump has said he will help small businesses. He will help individuals. Who knows when and who knows how long, but I do hope someone, like GoFundMe page or something, but in just out of caution, I don't care if there's 500 people, that's enough. We got hit by Irma. Southwest Florida became Hurricane Central, specifically Bonita Springs. If by chance, and it isn't even the blues, it's a spurious correlation people are making, but they make it that because of this festival, I got sick. And the numbers show the concentration is in Bonita Springs. So it's like, don't go to Bonita. Bonita blues, I can just think of the ways that could be generated that would not hurt just your family and the vendors of this particular event and the folks who have traveled, but our whole city would shut down and be devastated. Possibly. I personally think this is the Chinese cold. I think the mass media has made a big hype out of it, and it sucks. It really stinks horribly. And, you know, if you're going to call it a virus, then, you know, call it the Chinese Communist Party virus. But don't go saying it's a virus. It's a cold. So right there, I hear your frustration, and but everybody is doing it, and we need to.
Many of them are waiting until Monday. That's all
We are not Disney.
I know. And
I'm sorry. And you know what? Disney can get away with almost anything. You know, it's sort of like me saying, well, the president did it. You saying Disney did it. I'm sorry.
You know, again, I've voiced my opinion.
But that's my motion. I motion that we, in all caution, we close, we announce we give the city 1 week closed down. That would be stop going day to day, you know? I'm looking at are we on? I asked if at 8 o'clock promptly in the morning, did anyone reach out to see? Because I know the city has reached out to you before. And I was like, did you reach out? Common sense, I mean, come on. Our hands are tied. We cannot do it. It is irresponsible to everyone else in the city and to people visiting from around the country, around the world. And our president has asked us to do this. And I know, based on absolutely bogus bogus statistical science. But anyway, that's my motion.
Well, Fred, I'm going to hold that for now. Thank you, Laura. Fred?
2 questions. When's the next scheduled use, either private event or public event in the park?
You can't say.
Excuse me.
When's the next scheduled event?
What is the next one after this one? When is it?
Laura, can you come forward and schedule?
Okay, just 1 second, I printed my calendar here. So after the Blues Festival, the next event would be on Monday. It was the Naples Big Band, but they have agreed to cancel. Then it would be the Highland Woods St. Patrick's Day, and they have agreed to cancel. The St. Patrick's Block Party, Lansdowne, they've been spoken with, but we have not heard they're canceling. So that would be at Lansdowne on Tuesday.
Laura, what is the size of their?
We have 500 for the Naples Big Band, 850 for the Highland Woods St. Patrick's Day, 800 for the Lansdowne Block Party. After that would be the Lions Club Farmers Market for 100. Then the Movies in the Park for the city, which we are canceling. And then we have the Locals Roots Farmers Market, and then we go into the Bonita Springs Concert Band, which is 1,500, and they've canceled.
The other comment I would offer, I hear what he's saying, and I feel bad about this. And first of all, we got Easter coming up. We got churches in this community that hold way over 1,000 people. You think they're not going to be packed on Easter?
I think we'll be watching from home on the television.
Not the churches, but I would personally feel that we ought to let this one go, and that's it for whatever we need, because there's a lot of other places in the town. Like I said, there's the churches that do big things, and several of them are way over 1,000 seat capacity. And they usually have 2 services on Easter, big ones. That's my thoughts.
Half a dozen.
Mike? What are your thoughts?
It's a very tough decision.
And not to interrupt you, but you
but-
work down in the middle of it. I know
Yeah,
you've,
and
or I've been hearing you've been getting some comments.
Just
yeah.
things have been changing so quickly. 2 days ago we were extremely busy. Yesterday, it was almost a ghost town. Everybody's paying attention to what's in the news. Disney's closing, Universal's closing. Last night, the last report I saw, there was 27 in our area now, or in Florida. Now there's 40 something this morning. So I mean, just overnight, it's going up quickly. Reading an article this morning, showing how exponentially this thing's growing, and kind of pushing towards you need to do something sooner than later is gonna what makes a big difference. A big problem is people aren't having symptoms right away. So I mean, even checking temperatures, you could have people in there that have it and are spreading it. The younger generation, it doesn't seem to be affecting them that much, but they're carriers. They're bringing it to other people, their parents, grandparents. This area has a lot of retirees, a lot of nursing homes, assisted livings. I think we definitely need to be on the side of caution. I mean, it's terrible. I know how something like this can affect, I've been through other hurricane situations where, and even I had my own business and with Hurricane Charlie, just from weeks of not having business, I had to close down, because it just keeps going out. But, so, I mean, I feel for you. I think we need to be on the side of caution here. And even at the 1,000 number, I think we need to be looking at below that number. I think we need to be urging everybody to cancel their events, Lansdowne. I know there's an art show at the Promenade. Just every special event permit that we have out there, I think we should be contacting them, either urging them to cancel, or if we make the decision this morning, I think we should just tell them they need to cancel. That's my feelings on it. It's
Okay.
better to be safe than
Amy?
sorry.
Well,
Thanks,
I
Mike.
have
Thank
I have a little insight because I was in an 8 o'clock meeting this morning at the Horizon Council, the Lee County EDO, and a good bit of that time was devoted to this. And even though there has not been a state of emergency that's been declared, the concern is that so far, from what we know from the 3 people who have been tested positive, that we do not have what's called community spread. And that's what we're trying to avoid right now. As long as these are, quote, imported health problems, there's a better chance that we can control it. And that's why the governor and, to a certain extent, Lee County has suggested that we try to avoid crowds and that we do cancel these public events, because that's what we're trying to do. And I agree with Mike in regard to the nature of our population here. It's the elderly. There are 2 things. We have such a high proportion of elderly within Bonita Springs that any health risk is going to be disproportionately felt by them. The second thing is that I really do think, as responsible citizens, we have to avoid the situation where we overwhelm our medical system. And it's almost unbelievable that that could happen. But if you look at some of the numbers and the availability of hospital beds, because if we have high-risk patients, those are the patients that need to go to emergency rooms, to special care units, which there's a limited number of them, and there's other kinds of diseases where they have to be addressed. So I agree. I think this is a tough decision. I think the city just has to make it, unfortunately. I think we did talk at Horizon Council that there is funding available for, there's going to be a program where we're going to record distressed businesses and that are a consequence for these. So anyone that does get canceled, I think will certainly be available for a loan. I don't know if that will help, but there are people that are talking about the consequences of this to the economy, and it's a concern for everybody. So I think we have to make the hard decision, unfortunately, and I don't know any way of getting around it. And I agree to a certain extent. I don't know if I was sort of toying with the idea maybe we should just get it below 1,000, but 500, we don't even that is a problem because the tentacles of their network is very wide. And anyway, I think the message from that meeting today was that we should try to be strong and courageous and try to do the right things for our community. That's what I got out of it today.
Thank you for that. Derek, I was going to say, do we have any information about event insurance, cancellation insurance?
Well,
I don't know if I'm calling it the right thing.
cancellation insurance is fairly common for large events. Particularly, it wouldn't cover like losses to the nonprofit charitable giving or profits if it's a profit-making activity, but it would cover, vendors and other people that have to get paid. I don't know if the Blues Fest has that, but and just to sort of reiterate, so we have all the same information. Right now, the governor's recommendation is 1,000 people. That may change. He's also recommending for 30 days, so that's consistent with our recommendation. If it goes to something below that, if the recommendations start to go to 250 like they have on the west coast of the United States, something like that, we would request that any authority granted by the council be granted to Arlene so she could make those determinations. We wouldn't have to call additional meetings to make that call, but that's sort of where we are at the moment.
Do you have that type of insurance?
We have looked into that insurance before, and quite honestly, for our size of the event and the parameters that have to happen, it's utterly ridiculous to try to have it, because even rain, it's got to rain in a certain area, a certain amount, and not, it's just, and the people you have to have on staff to catch the rain, to measure it, I mean, they put it out there, but it's basically useless, and it's very expensive. So obviously,
Like most insurances.
Yes.
They're happy to take
Yeah.
the money, but when you need to use it.
It's a
all kinds
battle.
of conditions.
So, we've had obviously a very successful run. We had one year with rain, and obviously that hurt us. But it's obviously, I wouldn't want to be in your chairs. I understand, and it sounds to me like the vote is going that we are not going to be doing this festival, which I will obviously make immediate announcements of if that is what the answer is. My personal opinion, as I stated before, I'd like to see it start Monday and still have a life, but that's not up to me. It's up to the chairs there. So that's basically what I got to say, and everything we will do to do our best to make sure everybody's good. The response I've had from all the people that are very, very hoping that it'll go on and are willing to sign things, be the adults that they are and make their decision on what's going to go on. And yes, I know how things can affect folks in the city, and it's, I guess I'm just going to leave it at that and see what else anyone else has to say.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thanks,
your
folks.
thoughts. Are there other members of the public that would like to speak? Yes, sir. Good morning. Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Michael Schallies. I've been a long-time attendee at the festival, and even though Kevin's already spoken eloquently about it, it is a great event and lends a lot to Bonita. Based on everything that I've heard everyone speak about, though, and even though I know it's not exactly what Kevin would wish for, I'm kind of perplexed that when the state is recommending 1,000, and Kevin's saying he could do 1,000, and all this effort's been put into actually taking care of things rather than some wild conspiracy theory. I'm just recommending that, based on what I've heard, that a compromise could be made and it would be good for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other members of the public that would like to speak, please come forward. And Derek, if we could, and if we did, I apologize, I would like to hear the reading of exactly what the governor outlined with it at some point. Hello, welcome.
Hello, folks. My name's Barry Sawyer. I've been a resident of Bonita Springs for 17 years. I have no affiliation with the Bonita Blues Festival, but I just want to point a few things out here. One of the things is the people that were going to attend the Blues Festival are probably already in town. If they're not at the Blues Festival, they'll be in a bar someplace, they'll be going to different restaurants, they're probably not going to cut their trip short and turn around and just leave. So you're going to have these people who you are afraid are going to be spreading the virus out in your general community. And I don't think that's a good thing at all. And I think if Kevin is going to take the procedures to try to make sure that no one enters the event that has a temperature, I think that, that's about as much as you can do. It's what your own government is doing throughout the state, throughout the country. So I'm in complete support of the Blues Festival and continuing. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Other members of the public that would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, does somebody have what exactly was said, or I'd like to hear that, please.
Harley will read off the governor's statement.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
That's okay, just read this portion.
Okay, well, this is a quote from it. He says, "I am recommending local municipalities and private entities to strongly consider limiting or postponing mass gatherings in the state of Florida. This is an opportunity, our health officials believe, where some of these large-scale events can be postponed and do it later."
Okay. And several days before that, the governor issued Executive Order 2052, in which he directed local governments to take whatever prudent action is necessary to ensure the health, safety, and welfare of the community, which is under our emergency management powers. And so that state of emergency, which is statewide, was granted several days before this additional statement. And I will point out that, there hasn't been any local states of emergency at the county level or with many of our sister cities. That's not necessary to enact the powers we need to deal with this particular crisis. Generally, a local state of emergency, as you recall from the hurricanes, where we do one every 7 days, that is in order for us to receive state funding for our operations. This is not a cleanup operation. It's a different type of crisis. And so we're not asking for a local state of emergency at this time.
And I know members of our team were at the Lee County Emergency Operations Center yesterday. Could we hear more about that meeting, please?
Yes, they have not activated as of yet. We will have another meeting on Monday as well, and we're continuing to monitor the situation. What I did want to add is that when this is what the Department of Health provided, Lee County Department of Health update, is that they referred back to Governor DeSantis' comment about mass gatherings, and what they defined as the U.S., although the governor did not say, but the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention defines the use gathering as groups of more than 1,000 people. Yes, which was also printed out by, or was provided by the Florida Department of Health as well as our and
They reaffirm that 1,000 gatherings of over 1,000 should be considered for cancellation at the meeting.
at the meeting.
Now, I know I did hear from Mayor Anita Saracita from Fort Myers Beach this morning. I know they've canceled the Shrimp Festival. They were expecting a crowd there, though, of 30,000 is my understanding. I don't know if those numbers are accurate, but she did text me this morning and obviously has a close eye on what we decide to do here this morning. But Chief DeWitt, I hate to call you out, but do you have some thoughts? You've been up here. You've been in your role for a long time. Not your current role, but you have a good handle on what's going on in the community and the safety and health. How would you address, and any way you want, the health, safety, and welfare of Bonita Springs at the moment?
Well, again, health, safety, and welfare is of the utmost concern at this point. The statement was made that, they are probably here, the people that are coming in for this event. So they're already here. So all we're doing is limiting our liability. And I think that's what the council has to do, is decide what the limit of liability is. Is it 900? Is it 800? Is it 1,000? Is it 1,200? As a fire department, we stand ready to help whatever way we can. But our job is to limit that liability. And if you're asking me from when I used to sit on that seat, there's other things that I guess the council could look at. Either A, if it is canceled this year, give the promise during budget time for next year to have the city fund this event. If it is going to bankrupt this family and all that, to make that concerted effort to, hey, next year, we'll fund it. That way it's not on your shoulders for this year as a stopgap, as a show of good faith. But as the fire department, we're here to stand ready to assist in any way we can. We are taking the same approach as the city. We've canceled events that are happening in our facility. We're canceling training, so we are taking it seriously also as a fire department. If the Blues Fest does go off, they haven't asked, but if we need to help them with anything, we'll try. But our supplies are limited, from gowns to masks to all that, and that's our biggest concern right now. If 1,000 people show up in masks, that's 1,000 masks that we can't have on the shelf to use. But it's a hard decision, but whatever it is, the fire department stands ready to assist in any way.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. I, for one, like that suggestion. If we're going to take money and politics and a good time and some good music out of the equation and really look at it for what it is, public health, safety, and welfare, and economics, well, if we cancel and we put our money where our mouth is and put it in this summer's budget, I, for one, would be willing to do that, to protect our community and show, obviously, that we want to work with anybody and everybody that believes in our city. But the risks right now are uncertain. We don't know. But if it comes down to economics and health and safety, I think that's where we need to find a solution. Yes, Laura.
I would support that. I mean, the blues, it's vital to the city. It's fabulous. So if we could do that, as well as help the situation this year.
Right.
But definitely to put that in our budget for next year.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that, but I would like to know a number before we.
Yeah, do we have numbers, folks?
There could be, obviously, it would take some time.
Please, come on up, and I'm sorry, yeah.
Ball-
No, I know, and we, not going to hold you to the penny, although we are pretty good at that when we need to be.
Quite honestly, I don't have those numbers in my head. My wife is the major, component that takes care of all the numbers and is amazing at it and everything. And obviously, if moving forward we would discuss that, we would be able to put the proper numbers together and everything to show you. It's all public record anyway, what we have done, what we've given away, everything. So something like that we could put together and be able to discuss it logically with you.
More than 1,000, less than 1 million? Any?
Yeah, well, we've given away, I can tell you this, we're approaching $500,000 over the previous 13 years. And as far as the numbers, I'd have to,
But a one-year number, and you can see what
I'm guessing.
this year.
I'm guessing between 70 and 80,000 to put it on.
Okay, and you back out sponsorships?
Yep, we have sponsorships, and we have some this was our highest year of sponsorship ever. Obviously approaching this was very exciting, very enlightening at how many people and businesses were stepping up to just be involved, jump in, and just help us, because they've seen how it has grown and how many people it has helped over the years. And it's.
But all in, you're talking 75, 80,000?
I'm guessing that, yeah.
Not that that's a smaller,
Nope,
insignificant
nope.
number, just trying to get
Right.
very significant.
Yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Just today alone, the sound crew is 7,000. The fencing was 5,000. With just going through all of that, we could come up with a better number. I would round it somewhere around 80,000, I think, to really all the components. And
how much of that, if it were canceled, would you be able to recapture? Is some of that? Well, the ice hasn't arrived, so we won't
ice
have
is
to
there,
worry.
but it's frozen.
No, I understand, but I'm just trying to take an example.
And I'm
that we might all
hoping
understand.
that's there plugged in right now, and I'm hoping, obviously, that can go back. Our sound people have not set up yet. So I'm hoping, obviously, we have a contract with them. I'm hoping that they're the same ones that do the Celebrate Bonita and everything. So I'm hoping that we don't have to pay them or pay them a reduced price. We're about to find all that out, because this is obviously a very first time of running into anything like this. And of course, I would imagine people are going to want their money back, and you know, so there's many terrible avenues to run down right now, and I know we'll have a great support because the blues community around the world that supports us are absolutely incredible people. I've already had many people respond. You know, if you're even thinking of giving back, you know, money for our tickets, don't give me mine. So they're just a great community that's obviously going to be very disappointed. And going forward, we will, you know, we can look into things. I mean, I just don't have a whole lot of answers right now because it's just, as with everybody, a horrible time.
Sure, absolutely.
Arlene has something to say.
Mayor and council, we are postponing as of right now Celebrate Bonita, which has a budget line item of $20,000 currently in this fiscal year. We had talked about possibly looking at the fall. If the blues event folks would like to talk about some sort of partnership where maybe Celebrate Bonita can be incorporated into an event together, there could be some sort of level of partnership with that. I don't know how that looks with the selling of tickets, but we'd have to work through all that. But you do have a placeholder that you could look to look at that as a possibility, since we will have to take a whole new look at Celebrate Bonita in the future. And it's around the same timeline, but we'd have to discuss how that looked.
Yeah, that's, I know people had talked about us postponing, and due to the design of this festival with the bands are all on tour, and this festival is their anchor. This is where they make their money. And all the other bar, restaurant gigs and stuff, they make little bits, enough for a little, you know, a place to sleep, but they make their living on the festivals. That's where the tours and how they live. The one band I can tell you already that was coming from New Orleans this morning. They were flying in and leaving out tomorrow. And just in the past 2 days, they have lost $32,000 worth of income by festivals, you know, canceling or the dates canceling. And as you know, most of those folks are not, they're living on, you know, paycheck that they can get. You know, they don't make I would never be a blues musician, I'll tell you that. They just don't make a lot of money, and it's a very difficult life. And now they're all getting, you know, just as hard hit or worse than we are, because of the fact there's one lady responded that's supposed to play for us that obviously, if this gets canceled, and then her other gig gets canceled, she'll go bankrupt. That was a message she put out this morning, just due to the tight budget that they all live on in that style of life, which is very, very difficult.
Well, council, any other thoughts or comments? Staff, what I'd like to do is make the motion that we postpone this year's Blues Festival and work with the Blues Festival to figure out what has been out of pocket and what your losses would be, sir. And I will be sponsoring that in this summer's budget workshop to work with you. Obviously, you've been a big part of this community for a long time. You don't have a lot of answers, unfortunately, sir, we don't either.
Right.
But we are trying to protect our citizens and anybody that may come in contact here. So I know that's not ideal for you, but I am going to make that motion that we postpone this year's Blues Festival and work it into our budget workshop this summer.
Just,
Yes.
just as an addendum to that, if you would consider, Mr. Mayor, even though we don't have any other events planned, if you would just make that a blanket postponement for 30 days of any event over 1,000.
Yes, yes.
Including the Blues Fest with those conditions, I think that's probably
And we're not tying it to size at all? Is that?
1,000. Everyone is, the other ones have canceled, have been voluntary or city
So at
sponsored.
this time would be 1,000 and above, and then we are still encouraging
Could we
those.
do it floating
Yeah, well,
with the governor? Because if
Yeah.
tomorrow.
With the
we're
recommendation of the U.S.,
Well,
with the Florida Health Department as well,
right.
whatever the.
Because that's what they recommend from Lee County, is because it is a moving target. They made that very clear, that one of the problems with planning is that hour to hour things change. And that's why it's so difficult to make a decision.
Well, maybe
We
the,
do that administratively through the
what I would consider is start with the 1,000, the Blues Fest for 30 days, and if you're willing to consider it, grant Arlene authority as the city manager to make additional cancellations or changes for an up to additional 30 days based on guidance coming from the Department of Health and the Governor's Office and other relevant health officials. And that way, we're keeping up with that change without having to recall the council. But that would give you a maximum 60-day window, and then we could revisit at that point.
So I would add 30 days, 999 or less, and to give Arlene the administrative authority to make decisions as we continue to monitor
Yeah.
this, as this evolves and as this
And
changes.
if, and that's at the same time, I just say, as it moves, because if it gets lifted, if you could also
Right,
make the
after
decision to lift the.
Correct, correct,
So there wouldn't be a time lag in between having a meeting.
correct. So that's my motion.
Well,
My observation, if you don't mind, on, not that I want anybody's events canceled, of course, but 1,000? What if 10 people there? I mean, I don't understand where they get the number. I mean, to me, if you're worried about this type of a spread, not, again, I don't want anybody canceled, but I don't understand the difference between 1,000 and 2,000, 500. I just don't get that part of what, they're trying to figure out is.
Understood,
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it.
understood. And I'll just be a good sport to you. I can alter my motion.
Yeah, I mean,
Take it out of this.
I mean, I don't want anybody getting canceled, but I don't understand the numbers. I just don't, that's a part I've never really understood, but that's me, so.
I think at this point, at staff level, we are comfortable with following the guidelines provided by the CDC and the governor's office in the recommendations.
So I made my motion. Is there a second? Then there is a second. Council, is there further discussion?
yes, I'm uncomfortable putting a number in it. I just think we should, even if it's just a week then, do a week, do 2 weeks, do a month, but it makes no sense to say, oh yeah, 400 people could get together. Well, at least Kevin was going to do temperatures before people came in the door. Are you going to assure people that 400 is somehow safe? That's the tacit assumption people make. Oh, so it is okay. Mayor specifically said, under 999 people we can gather, implying it's safe. And
In
if
accordance
we're
with
going-
what the governor said.
Correct, but since we're going so overboard to stop a cold, let's do it the way we're supposed to do it. Stop going together. When your child is sick at daycare, if they have a fever for 24 hours, you can't go back to school, okay? So we just have to take a time out, and it sucks, but that to me is life, that you cannot say 999 people getting together is gonna be safe, no worries at all. So,
Agreed.
my 2
I just want to
cents.
say,
We're in violent agreement.
We're not saying that one situation is safe and the other one is not. We're just trying to follow some reasonable guidelines to limit the chances that this will become a community spread event. And the longer we can hold that off, the better off we are, because all these forces which are coming together, be it the Department of Health, be it the federal government, be it these emergency operations things, be the supplies, we give them a chance to get in place. That's what we're trying to do right now. And that is what the appeal is for. So I don't think anybody, we're not safe sitting in this room right now. In any kind of, we can't give 100% surety there. And we live in a free society, so all we can do is try to take a middle road, and I think that's what we're doing. And we can't shut down we're not China. We're not even Italy. We can shut down the country. We have to hope that people will act responsibly, but we know that that doesn't always happen. So I don't want to say that we think they're safe if they're 1,000 people or less. That's not what we're thinking. One thing what we could ask if they are in an event, if we could have some, no one wants to leave their name about who is in a situation. And I think with these larger gatherings, if we could encourage them to take the names of people in their event, so that if there is a transmission of the disease, then the entities that have to trace this through to where the starter is will have a much easier time of it. I don't know if anyone would be willing to do that. Again, nobody has to do that. But when we go to, Artist Naples, they know who owns the ticket. We buy it. We put our name down. We have to help our organizations to be effective if we can. That's all we're trying to do. And the longer we put it off communities spread, the better off we all are going to be, not only in Bonita, but in Southwest Florida. So these are hard decisions.
Council, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think the number should be lower, but just for the sake of, forcibly stopping events, if we put the number at 1,000, like the governor and the health organizations recommend, we should do that to forcibly stop anything over 1,000. But I think we should also call everybody that's having any event and urge them to not have the event, and let them know that that number may change, because if the guidance comes down that it's 250 or any number, let them know that we will be pulling all the permissions for the event.
And staff has reached out to every permit holder that we have as of right now, and actually, no matter what the level of participation, encourage them to postpone or to cancel.
But your suggestion is not just anyone else who comes in with a permit, but also to the churches and other.
Yeah, every gathering, every special event permit we have out, and any larger things like the churches.
Yes, Arlene.
I just want to, Lee County did announce yesterday that they are not issuing any additional special event permits at this time for the next, it was 30 days, correct, for the approximately, they were not going to be issuing any more, so I would, if that would be your direction as well, there are permits that can be done administratively, we would follow that recommendation.
But one more comment, though. I mean, if we are limiting it to 1,000 right now, then why wouldn't we say he can do it up to 1,000 only for the ticket holders that they have? So I mean, if we're going to go with 1,000, I say let them do only the tickets that are already sold up to 1,000. If we're going to go below that number, then I say cancel everything. But I mean, if we're going to say 1,000, then he's already offered to keep it at 1,000 or below.
And the city could make up the difference of what the damage would be.
Well, it may mitigate, as much. They may not have much money to donate, but it may offset their losses to where they can have the event again.
Derek?
I mean, it's a complicated mix to get into mitigating damages for an event. We are taking.
No, and I'm sorry, let's back
Yeah,
out to the size of the event.
We're recommending here taking action on events consistent with current health directives. I would separate that from whether or not we are supporting one individual or another. At this point, there's a lot of unknowns. Right now, there may not be 1,000 people show up to the event just without any action by the city at all. At the same time, I don't know what the control mechanisms they're going to use for ensuring there's only 1,000 people. Really, it's a math problem. I mean, the reason why why I'm sure they picked 1,000 instead of 500 is because it's more people that could have it arrive at the event, more people can be exposed to it at the event. I read the motion as 1,000 canceled, including the Blues Fest, and we'll direct accordingly as we go forward.
Well, because we've had others that are smaller, cancel.
And
What
we
if-
may
what if-
find
what
that
if they come back now and say, hey, we're only 850, we want to go on?
well, but they could have asked for 1,000 or 2,000 before, wouldn't it? There was no reason for them to
No, I mean
self-select
the
at
ones
800.
that only expect 700, 850 that have currently canceled. What if they say, okay, you're only recommending 1,000, we're below that, can we go back? We said we're going to not hold it, but can we hold it now?
But we weren't pressuring them to cancel, and we may find that the remaining items, the events that are out there may cancel on their own irregardless.
No, understood.
In that case,
However,
we're encouraging the only
pass
one
a
event to go
number.
forward.
What's to stop somebody from coming back under 1,000 and saying game on?
Well, that's what Arlene was asking for, basically saying, consistent with Lee County, no new permits.
I'm sorry, Matt?
You need to answer that question in this meeting.
Yeah, because if we're saying 1,000 and somebody else that we reached out to and said, like the Starlight Band, whatever number that was, I think it was below 1,000, they said they're not going to hold it. But what if they now say, okay, well, you said 1,000, we're less than 1,000, we're going to hold it now?
Right, but they voluntarily did it on their own. They can't.
I know, but what if they say we're going to hold it now? I mean,
Yes.
because we're not prohibiting that, so they can.
I would say that's a no new permit issue, the same situation. They've canceled, we've taken them off the list. Here's the concern I would have. Right now, we only have a handful of remaining events that are scheduled to go forward. I think the Lansdowne on St. Patrick's Day is the only one of any size. We may find that they cancel on their own. And here we are shoehorning the largest event in the county to just be under 1,000. We're trying to force it through based on there may be others that still are out there, but they may all cancel on their own initiative without any action from us.
Well, that's what I'm basically saying, is why 1,000? Why don't we just say we're not doing the events? And tell Lansdowne that.
And don't shoehorn it to a number.
Right. I mean,
I
that's.
was gonna say, that wasn't part of my motion, but I added it because of what you
But
said.
if that's the direction, then we would just, the motion would be to cancel all events, period, of any size, and then for 30 days, and then to grant Arlene the authority to make such changes for that additional 30 days as necessary.
Or less than
much
it,
fairer
or less than it.
Or less, if it's lifted, then I think we're going to lift it across the board.
Fred, did you have something?
No, yeah, I said that is a much fairer approach, because tying this thing to a number and then specifically putting them in the motion, and there's other ones that could, I think it's much better what
Okay, yeah, no, I agree.
So is that?
I'll make the
that
motion to cancel all events
Did I hear them? Yeah.
for 30 days. Specifically, in this instance, with the Bonita's Blues Festival, work with them this summer at our summer budget workshops to figure out what the damage was incurred by them, and make a recommendation in the summer budget to cover those costs. And for the next 30 days, cancel all events in Bonita Springs. I don't think it's more complicated than that, is it?
An authority for Arlene.
And authority, yes, for Arlene to make decisions as she needs to,
In consult with council.
yes. But we won't have to have a
We
meeting.
could lift it sooner if.
Right, and lift me, yes, absolutely.
Or
This is obviously an extraordinary circumstance. I'm not bringing out the Roberts rules, but I'm assuming that you're withdrawing your original motion, you're withdrawing your second.
Okay.
I only added those things because of what you said.
We have a new motion.
Yes, we have a new motion. Is there a second for that?
Oh, go ahead, you first.
Is there a sec, I'm running,
Amy second.
I
I'm
understood,
sorry.
I understood. I'll continue to run the meeting, thank you. Amy, you seconded that? Okay, Laura, then Mike.
Okay, I'd like to take out compensation and working with, we will do that, but not to put it in a motion, because I believe we open up the door to other people saying, what about us? And it also makes a commitment. We don't know what is going to happen in the future, and it could be that we're not able to do as much as what's implied, or it's disappointing. So we trust that they will do the right thing. We trust, and I trust that the city would do the right thing. I know that I would vote to do the right thing, but I would prefer not having, just have a straight motion regarding gatherings and special events.
Thank you. Mike?
I agree with that. My concern is saying that we're going to cover the cost. We don't know the exact cost. It's hard to put a number on that. We don't know how many people that bought tickets are going to say, don't refund me, And other things like GoFundMe pages, things like that, anything, like Save the Blues, hopefully they can mitigate as much on their own, and hopefully at budget time, we can do what we can to help them out to make sure that they can have that next event and get back on their feet. But I would hate to say we're going to cover all your costs, because we have no idea what those costs are.
Fred?
Well, I want to make sure it's clear that the Blues Festival is not going to be mentioned at all, including it's canceled, because if we do this thing on numbers, it's canceled anyway. And that's singling out one event when we don't need to do it. We don't have to put that in the motion, because if we're saying nothing, all events are canceled, and all future events for the month of, or 30 days is canceled, we're not going to do it. It's covered. You don't need to put somebody's name in, which I think nobody needs that, including them or us.
Okay. Amy?
I think that was your motion without the mention, and I agree on the suggestions by Laura and Mike, and I suggest they put it in as an amendment to your motion, which is, or just withdraw that part of it.
Okay. That's fine.
So.
All right, so
do
now
we
we're
wanna
just,
vote-
we're
we
just at
wanna
the
vote
30
on-
days, cancel all events, and an additional 30 days delegated to Arlene to make decisions as necessary.
Right. So there's been a motion, a second, and an amendment, but, so why don't we vote on the amendment first?
Yes.
Okay? And the amendment is to be non-specific as to names or to events or to people or to,
The costs.
yes, or to costs. Okay. So that, let's vote on the motion first. Roll call, please.
The amendment.
Amendment.
Councilwoman Carumba?
Aye.
Councilwoman Carr?
Aye.
Mayor Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Councilman Forbes?
Aye.
Now, back to the original motion, to cancel all events for the next 30 days and give Arlene the administrative approval to make decisions in council with the, as she added, with us, without holding a meeting over the next 30 days, sooner if that is lifted. Okay?
I thought that's what we just voted on.
No, it was the amendment to take out the,
Oh, okay, gotcha, I'm sorry.
That's okay, no, that's okay. And so that's the original motion, and there was a second. Amy, you'll still continue to second that. Is there further discussion, council? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Carr?
Aye.
Mayor Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Gibson?
aye.
Councilman Forbes? Councilwoman Carumba?
Aye.
Okay. Staff, anything else at this point? And I'm going to give members of the public that may want to speak post-decision here, any time that they might like at this point for public comment. Councilwoman Simons, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, council. Difficult, but I think appropriate decision. And if they do start a GoFundMe page, I'll be on it and encourage everybody to chip in and save the blues. Incredible, $500,000 that they've given back to this community. I remember they started.
Verify it's the right one, so that nobody does a scam one.
Yeah, well, they'll figure that out. They'll know how to do that. They're smart people. I do want to urge not calling it a common cold. This virus is 10 times more deadly than the seasonal flu, which we have vaccines for, and we have antiviral medicine. You might consider it a conspiracy theory, hoax. No, it's not. This is real. It's not a drill. The CDC, leading infectious disease doctors are very serious that this is a worldwide pandemic, and I think your seriousness in taking this action reflects your understanding of that, and I appreciate that very much as a citizen of the city. I'm kind of holing up my house because I don't have the virus. I just have lung issues from bad behavior in my past. So I'm trying to be very careful, being over 60 now, and I want to encourage everybody to follow those precautions. I'm grateful to Arlene and your staff here to do the things that you're doing to protect the community and the council for making wise decisions. I think God has given you a brain and you just used it. And I'm sorry for Kevin, but I think the community will be standing behind them to save this fantastic festival. And I certainly will be there for you and, whatever I can do, okay? And to our law enforcement and our first responders, be safe, be careful. Thank you for what you do. Thanks for being on the front line. Yeah, I worry for you, but I'm really grateful for you. And that's all. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Other members of the public? Hi, Terry. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Terry Lemaine. I'm a very proud member of the Bonita Blues Charitable Foundation Planning Committee. I'm also a very proud member of the City of Bonita Springs Special Events Committee. And I'm also the President and Executive Director of the Bonita Springs Assistance Office. I understand that today has come down to fiscal impact versus public safety. Excuse me, Councilwoman Carr?
No, I just saw I had something in my throat.
You had something in your throat? Okay, do you need water? Can I help you? Okay. But I do feel, as a private citizen, that this all boiled down to financial impact and public safety. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Bonita Blues Charitable Foundation for giving almost $500,000 back to 3 local charities in the past 14 years. Amen. Bonita Springs Assistance Office received $18,000 last year from the festival. A lot of people think when they call my office on Burnwood Drive, they go, "You need to help me. I pay taxes." I said, "I pay taxes too, Sam, sir, ma'am." "Well, you're the Bonita Springs Assistance Office." Yes, we are the Bonita Springs Assistance Office. We do not get any money from the city, the state, or the federal government. We rely on festivals, primarily the Bonita Springs Blues Festival. For the past 14 years, we've been a proud recipient. We get proceeds from the potentially upcoming Celebrate Bonita, the City of Bonita Springs birthday party. We get a permit, we serve beer, we sell food. So this has been an impact globally to everybody in the world right now. But as a Bonita Springs Assistance Office president, we are losing Celebrate Bonita, we're losing the Bonita Blues Festival. But I'm going to rise to the top and say, I love the Bonita Blues Festival Committee. I love the Special Events Committee. I will work together, if I may be allowed to, with Bonita Blues Festival and the Special Events Committee, if I'm hearing that properly, potentially. I know we're not going to promise any numbers. I just want to say I thank everybody in the room, every single one of you, for everything you do. It's a heartbreaking day, but we gotta, this is unprecedented waters that we're all in, including the president, everybody. Sorry if I'm rambling on. My agency is going to lose a lot of money today, and my good friends are probably going to go bankrupt with the foundation. I don't know if I'm putting words or things into his mind. You know, we had Suncoast Security was scheduled, the City of Bonita Springs permit was placed. Law enforcement would be there from Lee County Sheriff's officers. I even bought them their special sodas. I'm sorry, I'm emotional. I just love my city. I love my job. I'm happy to serve the people that we do. We provide a handout, not a handout. And as the CEO of the Bonita Springs Assistance Office, I was relying on funds from Celebrate Bonita and the Bonita Blues Festival.
So donate to the assistance office.
So if you want to donate, please donate. We're here to serve the residents of Bonita Springs, and we've been doing it for 40 years. So it's not just me alone, it's a team. And as a city, we all work together. So remember Hurricane Irma? I mean, you know, we were open 7 days a week. I don't know what the future brings on Monday, tomorrow, but we are a social services agency. I too have been informed from the EOC and United Way. I don't know how we're going to operate. I don't know if this is going to be a red tide situation where people are going to lose their paychecks and they're going to come to our agency to help them keep their electric on or their water. I don't know. Again, I repeat, the world is in uncharted territory. So God bless our great city. God bless everyone in the room. And I thank you all for allowing me to make a public comment.
Thank you, Terry.
Take care.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for everything you do, and everybody in this room. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you.
You're going to be okay.
Other members of the public that would like to speak, please come forward.
Good morning, City Council. I commend you on what you just did. As I sit and listen to all of this, one thing comes to mind. The number one priority is always health, safety, welfare. Absolutely the top. I'm probably the oldest person in the room, and we all remember 9/11, what a tragic experience that was. But I go back to World War II. I was just a kid. And I remember as a child, 4 or 5 years old, seeing how people came together. It was an amazing thing to watch. I mean, everybody in this country pulled together. We're going to survive this. We will. The Blues Festival will be back again. I'm sure it will, stronger and better than ever. We have to do, or you folks had to do what you had to do, and I commend you for that. There was no alternative to what you did. But I also feel that American spirit is special. It's unique. We're going to come back. When this whole thing is behind us, we'll talk about, gee, remember the coronavirus? I hope I'm around to recall that too. I've been through a lot of tragedies in my lifetime, and I've always seen the United States of America come back, and I know we will this time. So I commend you for what you did. I say to everybody out there, no matter who you are, what organization or foundation you have, don't worry, you're going to survive, because that's what America is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Other members of the public that would like to speak? Seeing none, motion to adjourn? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. No. You're